Hey everybody, so can you get a patent on an idea that already exists? Great question. I'm JD Houvener, owner, founder, and patent attorney here at Bold Patents Law Firm. Let's unpack this a bit in this long form video. I'm going to go through 5 major sections addressing this topic of, can I invent something that's already been done? Can I get a patent on an idea that's already out there? Section 1 is going to be about, well, the answer is no, if it's exactly out there. But okay, and then section 2 is going to be about improvements, which is the heart of most patents that get issued today. What are improvements? How do you go about that? And what process should you take? The third section is going to be about the standard. The examiners are going to look at under non-obviousness. It's a mouthful, but non-obviousness is going to be section 3. Section 4 is looking at prior art. Prior art is a fancy term that legal, patent law attorneys use to talk about previously existing, already existing patents, publications, and knowledge that's in the industry. And the last section we'll talk about is finding the gap. And this is probably the reason why you watch this video. I encourage you to stick along with it, learn the process, and get through all 5 sections with me today. So the first part of this is going to be answering simply no. If the idea is already out there, exactly, no, you cannot get a patent on it. The premise there is that patents are awarded only for novel inventions, right? New, first of its kind. Now, it doesn't have to be all brand new. It doesn't have to be the first ever, concept in the blue ocean. In fact, like I said before, 90+%, maybe even more, patents that are issued today are clear improvements on existing technology, right? They're standing on the shoulders of patents that came before them. So one example, I should say, from the past, probably the most famous invention of all time, ding, the light bulb. Thomas Edison, he did not invent the light bulb. You may have heard that, but no, it's not true. He improved it. He found the best filament, right? The part that lights up, and embedded that into his system for the incandescent light bulb. He made an improvement on the already existing light bulb technology and sparked electric world. So those specific improvements were patentable. And it's important to have that distinction that patents aren't granted for general ideas. They're granted for specific wording that's in a claim. So understanding patent claims, that's for another day. I'm not going to get into that too much. But at the end of the day, that is what you own. If you're the inventor and owner, is the written set of patent claims specifically talking about what it is that you're claiming about that exact art, invention, area of expertise. So that's section 1. Section 2 here, improvements. Just like Thomas Edison did, let's talk about what you can patent. What is patentable? A better version, a new iteration, a new application, so long as it's not obvious. And we'll talk about that coming up here in section 3. This is where real world patents live. Think about Steve Wozniak at Apple. Personal computers already existed, but Apple improved the usability, the ergonomics, and the design, the user interface, in new ways that created extra value. Value is really what is underscored here, because that's what the market will pay for. And in essence, you want to make sure you analyze this before you spend your time and money getting a patent if it's not going to have any value. So look first before you leap in terms of marketability. Is that improvement, that change, that differential between what is existing now and what your invention brings, is that gap something that the customers, that the market is willing to pay for? Okay, we'll talk about that gap later in section 5. But if you've got a new improvement for a ballpoint pen and all you're doing is changing the grip on it, is that grip really going to bring the value that you want? Maybe it will, but it takes analysis. So take a look before you leap into it. Section 3 is the standard, the legal standard. This is what USPTO examiners look at. When you submit your patent application, on the utility side, it's a non-provisional, and on the design side, it's a design patent application. Did you know that there are examiners out there and that all they do all day long is examine patent applications in one specific technology area? They're subject matter experts, and so they know what is out there. And so oftentimes what they'll do is, even if your claims are novel, meaning even if what you've improved is never been done before, never been described, never been claimed before. And so it might be patentable in that regard. There's a second prong, which is obviousness. Even if it's new, would this improvement have been obvious given a collection of 2, 3, or more patents, publications, or as we'll talk about in the next section, prior art? So the examiner is going to look. They're going to understand all the different pieces of prior art that are out there. Are you really going to be, able to show that your improvement is not just an obvious iteration, something that other provisionals, other publications would have led to? Would it have been obvious to try? Is it really a meaningful technical difference? This may be where you have your battle with the examiner. Section 4 is prior art. We talked about this a lot, and there's another separate video all about patent searching and what prior art is. It's a fancy word for the examiner. What do they have available to show? What is published and available to someone like you, the inventor? The examiner wants to know, and they will know, everything that's been published. Patent applications all around the world, published patent applications, of course, granted patents, and even non-patent literature. Anything published online, it's vast. So prior art is everything. And so understanding that before you file, knowing it, confirming your improvement, your differentiation before filing is also vital. That is where you'll be able to find the gap. And we've reached the final section, which is the gap. Knowing full well what your improvement gap is, what that differential is, how you're going to make that big market move, that not only is it patentable, it's marketable too. So your goal is to find the gap. Our goal as your patent attorneys is to help you capture it. You bring us that concept, that improvement, the powerful thing, and we will help document it as broadly and best possible to get you the boldest patent that we can. So let's get started. Roll up your sleeves and let's not try to reinvent the wheel. Let's improve. All right, everybody. I'm JD Houvener. Go big, go bold.